Hi, welcome to the distance section of C and Software Tools. This is just a short presentation that I record at the start of the semester where I try to talk about things specific to your section of the class. The recorded lectures you'll be watching, at least all the other lectures, were recorded a few semesters ago, so they don't have, they don't have things specific to your section like when your exams are. And if they do have anything like that, like particular dates in it, it wouldn't necessarily apply to your section anyway. So I try to factor out the things that are specific to you and put them in this hopefully short presentation. I'm David Sturgill. I teach the distance section, which has about 20 students in it right now, and I also teach one of the two on-campus sections. Each of those has close to 100 in it, so we've got a few hundred students across all three of the sections. I mention these other two sections because you'll be doing a lot of the same things as those other sections. We've got planning to have 6 projects this semester, and all the sections will be working on the same projects on about the same schedule. You'll be covering the same material in lecture. Your exams, well, for the distance section, you've got a window of time when you can take the exam, but it's about the same points in the semester as the on-campus sections. So when we're getting ready for an exam, all the students across all the sections will be looking at sample materials. They may be communicating online about some of the sample exam questions. I guess this may be in a later slide. Let me back up. This also applies to Piazza. You should have gotten an invitation to join our Piazza group, and you're in there with all the other students across all the sections. That lets us share posts across the sections. If one person asks a question and someone posts a good answer to it, everyone will be able to see that answer. And since we're working on a lot of the same things, the same projects, the same programming exercises, it helps to all be in the same place for that. I'm looking at my slide here, and I see there is one error in it. I've got contact information about myself. It's not a big deal, but I listed myself as the instructor for Section 1, and it turns out, like it says later in the slide, Suzanne Balick is the instructor for that section. I'm doing the distance section, that's 601, and the 002 section. But apart from that little mistake, the rest of this looks good. I've picked out some office hours when I'm available. I know as a student in the distance section, you may not be able to come by my office for office hours, but if you'd like to, you're welcome to stop by. I've even had a couple of students stop by already. For the distance section, I've got a special office hour on Tuesday evening from 9 to 10, which I call the online office hour. This was a suggestion from the Engineering Online program to have its time set aside. Evening times seem to work pretty well for that, when you can log on and chat with me directly. We looked at a few different ways we could do this. We're using one of the online chat tools provided by Moodle, and if you look up at the top of our Moodle page, there's a link you can click on, and if you click on that at about 9 o'clock or 9 to 10 on Tuesday evenings, hopefully you'll see me there, and we can answer questions right away if that's the kind of help you need. In addition to myself and Suzanne Balick teaching sections of this class, we've got 3 teaching assistants assigned. I think each of those teaching assistants and Dr. Balick will have office hours that they've chosen. I think most of them have already chosen office hours. We've tried to cover a lot of different times when teaching staff will be there to try to help you out. I don't have their office hours listed here on this slide, but I published a link there at the bottom. And if you visit our homepage, the same link is up near the top of our homepage. So this will tell you the office hours for all the teaching staff. And if we have to change an office hour, we'll update it in that. So that's hopefully going to be a good resource for knowing when help is available. Again, if you can't make it to campus, that may be less useful to you, but if you're close enough that you can stop by campus, you're welcome to stop by and get help from any of the teaching staff. Like I mentioned, apart from this one video, most of your lectures were recorded a few semesters ago, spring of 2018. I tried to make those lectures as much as I could. I tried to avoid saying things that that would be wrong a few semesters later. I tried not to talk about particular due dates where I could, because I knew those dates would just change from semester to semester. I tried to do that, but I'm sure I still left some of that during the lectures, especially if students ask questions about things. So if you hear me say things like this is due this weekend, or the homework that's due on Friday, try to just ignore that. For your section, the online, the discussion in Piazza, and especially our Moodle homepage, is going to be your reliable way of finding out when things are due. We also had an interesting surprise that semester. I don't remember the lecture number. If I had to guess, I would say it's around lecture number 17. There was an emergency in the building, and everybody in the classroom had to evacuate the building. Not just our classroom, but the whole building. So there's one lecture that has an interruption. I'm going to say it's with about 20 minutes remaining in the lecture. So one lecture, you'll notice, is just going to end strangely and abruptly. We managed to cover all the same material. We just covered a little bit faster in later lectures. But when you see that happen, that's the explanation. I was going to say, we'll re-record that lecture, but we don't usually update all the lectures every semester, so that's one that we're kind of stuck with for now. Generally, if you look at your page, well, if you look at the recorded lectures, you get to look at me talking if you want, you get to look at some of the classroom, and you should be able to see the slides along with recording. And if you want to just look at them that way, that's fine. But I also have slides posted in our Moodle page, and as we go through the material, I'll post more of the slides there. Generally, the slides you look at on Moodle should match the ones in the recorded lectures. In a few cases, Lecture 3 in particular, some things have changed enough that I had to go in and change the lecture slides, like some things that used to work, some things we used to have access to here at the university aren't always there from year to year. So if I have to, I'll update some slides if there are any big changes. I think Lecture 3 is the only one where I've had to do that, and I think I've got both the original version of those slides and the updated versions posted. If you want to just look at the slides on the recorded lectures, that's fine. If you want to download your own copies from Moodle, that's also fine. Some things specific to your section. Like I said, you'll be taking exams on about the same schedule as the on-campus section. You get to take 2 preliminary exams. Just like the on-campus section, I'll write those exams so that I would expect them to be something you could do in an hour and 15 minutes, because that's how long the on-campus section meets. For them, they take the exam as part of a regular class meeting, but for the distance section, they give you a window of time when you can schedule a time to take the exam. You'll still get an hour and 15 minutes to take it if you need all that time, but you won't all be taking it at the same time in one classroom. For, like I probably said a moment ago, for the windows, I picked times that kind of overlap when the on-campus section will be taking their exam. So the first one, you get to schedule a time between September 24th and 26th. That's the middle of the week between Tuesday and Thursday. Same kind of thing for the next one between November 5th and 7th. Those are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. For the final, just like the on-campus section, you can have up to 3 hours to take that. For the time, for the window there, it's December 10th through 12th. So again, the middle of a week during the exam time. I try to write the exams for the distance section so that they're similar length. You can see you get the same amount of time to take those exams. Similar difficulty. But I do write different exams for each section, so you won't be taking the same exam as one of the on-campus sections. It'll cover the same material, but I try to write different questions for each of those exams. For the on-campus section, at least for my sections, students take a short quiz, usually at the end of every lecture. So I save the last 3 to 5 minutes, and they get to take a short, usually multiple choice quiz. We can't do it the same way for the distance section, so for your section, I've written quizzes for almost every day of lecture, and I've posted them on Moodle. So Moodle has an interface that lets you take quizzes. Each time a new lecture gets posted, I'll usually post a programming exercise for that lecture and a quiz that goes with that lecture. The due dates for those are the same. They're all due on Sunday evenings at 11 o'clock. So hopefully having a consistent deadline like that will help you make sure you don't forget about one of these. This is a difference this is a difference from the time these lectures were recorded. I think when we recorded these lectures, we still had access to a tool called WolfWare Classic. That's not available at the university anymore. We used to use it along with some other technologies in the recorded lectures. You may hear me talking about it occasionally, but we don't get to use that for this section anymore. That mostly affects turning in of the first homework assignment and the way the exercises are done. I'll mention all of that we moved over to Moodle. So you'll submit your first, sorry, I probably said homework assignment a moment ago. I should have said project. You'll turn in your first project using Moodle, and all the exercises. At the top of every exercise, there's a link you can click on that should let you submit your solution for that exercise. I think that's all. I was going to say I think that's all. There's one more thing I remembered while I was going through this. Let me take a look back. Here's the thing I remembered. At the time I'm recording this, I just have materials for the first lecture posted in Moodle. I normally try to post materials at the start of each week. And even though the distance section wouldn't have to be synchronized with the on-campus sections, I try to keep them synchronized. That helps online discussion make more sense. So at the start of each week, I'll post materials. Usually I try and get this done on Monday morning. I'll post materials for that whole week's worth of lectures, exercises, example programs. So look for new stuff to show up every Monday morning. So far the on-campus sections have just met once each. So there's just one lecture worth of material posted, but that'll start changing at the start of next week. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I've listed an email address up there that should work. Make sure you're registered with our Piazza site, even if you can't get a quick response from me sometimes. The Piazza site is nice because any of the teaching staff can help you out with that. It's a great place to ask questions or to get a little bit of help on an assignment. And other than that, I'll see you next week. At least you'll see me next week. I'll talk to you then. Bye.